Welcome to Hotter Than Ever, where we uncover the unconscious rules we've been following, we break those rules, and we find a new path to being freer, happier, sexier, and more satisfied in the second half of our lives. I'm your host, Erin Keating. Welcome, new listeners, and welcome back, loyal listeners. It is so good to be back talking to you. I hope you're doing really well in these very strange and uncertain times we are living in. I, for one, am grateful to have the freedom to talk about what is really happening in the world and in our lives and in our hearts. One of the things that is happening in front of my own eyes is that my adopted home of Los Angeles is changing. It is in a really fucking weird place right now when it comes to the economy. When I moved here in 2013, LA was and had been for the previous 70 plus years the center of show business, the inventor of show business, the epicenter of show business on planet Earth. I was so excited to get here and become a part of it, to work in TV, in the place where all the TV shows and films I had ever loved were made. But as I have been evolving in my own professional journey, one of the things that I have started to come to terms with is that because of the way that tech has changed the entertainment business and put the means of production, not to get too Marxist about it, into the hands of anyone with a video camera, which is literally everyone, the entertainment business as I knew it, where I worked and lived and strove, I don't know, and achieved, that's done. And because of the way I have changed over the past several years, combined with how entertainment has changed, I am coming to terms with the fact that I am no longer in show business. And show business was an enormous part of my identity. It was all I ever wanted. I loved the 20 years that I spent working my way up in the television business, from networks to production companies to places that put advertiser money against original programming to short-form internet-based platforms and apps. I have been privy to every step in the evolution of entertainment in the last 20 years. I have ridden those waves of change. And I have had really interesting jobs through all those changes. And I have loved every fucking second of working with the talented people that I got a chance to work with. I also loved the expense account. I loved the personalities. I loved the dresses when we got to go to fancy events. I love that there was a glamorous component to my job. But mostly at the end of the day, I loved the work itself. I loved making something from nothing. The starting from scratch and figuring it out and taking an idea and building it into something that other people can care about. And when my last job ended and I started Hotter Than Ever, that is what I did, because that is the thing that show business taught me how to do, how to build something from nothing. I feel like podcasting is show business adjacent, unless there's a celebrity host who got famous in traditional show business. It's more like the infotainment arena, more media and journalism as opposed to show business. So it's been one step away from that career that I spent 20 years building. Still, I could argue to myself, I have a platform. I'm on the other side of the camera than I was. Now I'm what folks in the business call the talent, in addition to being the creator and producer and wearing all the hats that I was used to wearing as an executive in showbiz. But as I've made this show over the last couple of years, I have learned a lot about the business of being an independent creator and a lot about myself. And less do I find it possible to imagine stepping back into a conventional career where I don't have control over how I work and what I am allowed to say and not say. And even if I wanted to go back to doing what I used to do, there is no there because of technology and Wall Street and the commoditization of content and now AI have changed the game completely. I think it's done. Like, I think Hollywood, the idea of Hollywood and the town at the center of show business, if it's not done, it's certainly on the path to being done, or at least totally unrecognizable from the thing that it once was. We're making a lot less stuff as an industry. We're spending a lot less money. There are so many people out of work here in LA. And I myself, having stepped with both feet into what people in my world call the creator economy, I'm finding my way to a new career. I'm taking all of my let's put on a show energy and skills, and I'm making something new. I'm making this podcast, and eventually I will be launching my new business that I can't wait to share with all of you, but that's for another episode, or we will never get to my amazing guest today. Suffice it to say that my career has always met the moment, culturally, technologically, but it has never met me personally, from a subject matter point of view or from the audience that I'm serving. Until Hotter Than Ever, I was always making things for an audience of people who were younger and frequently more male than myself. And what I've been able to do with this podcast, and what I have loved the most about Hotter Than Ever, is talking to my peers and being part of a conversation about what it is to be a woman in midlife in the year 2025, and what it is to be part of the most successful generation of women who have ever lived on planet Earth. I am so proud to have my voice and my platform be a place that showcases extraordinary women in midlife and gives them the frame to tell their stories and share their wisdom and expertise. My guest today, Julie Golden, is definitely someone I consider a peer. She's a television producer, a writer, and podcaster, and today she's a stand-up comedian, which, when you hear her, you will know has always been her destiny. She's performed at the Hollywood Improv, the Comedy Store, Jimmy Kimmel's Club in Las Vegas, and so many other places. You know me, you know I love a life pivot. I love the story of a pivot. I want to know, how did you make the change? Of all the episodes of Hotter Than Ever, the ones that have resonated the most with you, based on the data, are the ones where we talked about change and managing change. This is the shit for us, because there is nothing but change, and there is less and less in this world that feels stable and predictable. This is true in our personal lives, in our careers, in our economy, and we are getting really, really agile. We are getting really resourceful, and we are getting really smart, and we are also tired of doing the things we are supposed to do for success, for appearances, for money, for approval. God, you've got to love that perimenopausal estrogen drop. You've got to love what it feels like to care less about meeting other people's expectations and starting to define our lives based on our own expectations. In this conversation with Julie Golden, this covers a lot of territory. We are on fire and we are all over the map. Julie has a hilarious and irreverent point of view as a divorced single mom, navigating love on the back half of life. And this is where we live here on Hotter Than Ever. It is just so much fun and so relatable to bear witness to her journey. She's really funny and really smart. And just like you, she is figuring it out as she goes. I think you're really going to like this one. All right, let's get hot. Julie Golden, welcome to Hotter Than Ever.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Erin.
So I met you because one of my oldest and dearest friends recommended me to be a contestant on your matchmaking comedy show at the West Side Comedy Theater here in LA. And when we got on the phone together, we realized we had a lot in common.
Yes.
And so we're going to talk about your show. We're going to talk about your stand-up career, which you started in midlife. But first, I want to hear the story of the career that you had before comedy and still work in, which is as a reality TV producer. What shows did you work on? How did you come to that career?
Well, to talk about that career, I have to briefly talk about the other two careers. It's like I never got the memo, like Hollywood, leave, you know? So So I came out and I worked as an assistant and climbed my way up to a very high position as a film production executive, and was miserable for another podcast. That's for another podcast. You can just fill in the blanks.
Women's Lives in Show Business podcast.
And I was so happy when I left that part. But a friend of mine, and I became a screenwriter, and I made a living at it, and it was amazing. Not a great one, but enough that I'm like, I'm not delusional. People are paying me to write. And a friend of mine who was a writer said it's as if I was a New Yorker cartoon, and I had dug my way out of one prison cell and just went into another. Like I didn't actually leave the prison.
What an incredible image.
Yeah. And I'm still in the prison. I apparently I love it. It's, what is it? Stockholm prison syndrome.
Yeah, that's what happens to us here in Hollywood.
Yeah. I'm addicted to stories. I always have been, even as a child. So then I pivoted from that, not willingly. I love how people are like, why? I'm like, well, at a certain point you keep getting paid or you don't as a writer. It's like you either take off. So, but the writer's strike came, and I'm going to be very careful about how I married an aspiring writer. And so we were two writers and having a baby, and the strike happened. And
what year
was it 2009? When was the first?
I was not here yet, so I was in New York. So
copy that. It was everything. It was like the real estate bubble. Everything was just going south. And so I remember talking to a friend who was a big screenwriter at the time, and he said, well, why don't you come work on this reality TV show? They need writers. And I'm like, why would they need writers? It's reality. And he said, let's just talk. So that's when I came in and found out about how written reality TV is, but it's so much more nuanced than that, as you know.
But the listeners to this show are not show business insiders, so maybe a little bit of insight would be valuable around what a writer's role is on a reality show.
Sure. I'm going to tell you the not bad version, which is what you don't realize is, I always say reality TV is like being given all these words, like a composer's given notes, and then you have to put the words in order to create a song. So we get all this footage and put it together to tell a story. And so that's one aspect of writing, because you have to understand how to establish character, how to give a character arc, how to know, when you guys are watching reality, if you're watching like a doc soap and you're watching Verite, which is like us hanging out talking. Real Housewives. And then you go to their interview. That interview is what tells you how to watch the scene. So that interview, and I don't work on those shows, but that's where it gets super written sometimes. It's like the producer might guide the talent to say something because in their mind, they know where the edit's going and they know what they need that person to say.
Right. They're kind of retrofitting.
They're retrofitting
it in order to service the narrative that they picked up in the video that they filmed. The real video that they filmed, quote unquote.
Yes. Now, I personally pride myself on not telling any lies per se. I'm like looking at the emotional truth of the scene and helping my subject to reflect that back to me. So I'm not there to change their story. I'm there to reflect it and tell it well. I might say, you were sitting there talking to Bob and it seemed like you felt like this. And then they'll say, I don't know if I felt like that. And then I might say, okay, now tell me as I was sitting there with Bob, because you have to reset that,
Right.
And now tell me how you're feeling. But I didn't really do any gotcha TV. Everyone I've worked with in reality, the cast, the talent, I'm still friendly with. Like they're fans of mine. They follow me.
Right.
There's only one person, I'm not going to say it was, but she was a little upset. But here's just a little note, to listeners. If somebody's like, do you want to be on a reality show? Don't.
Definitely say no.
Just say no. You don't control anything as soon as you give your words, because we have every word you've said in our Avid, which is our editing system. And again,
you can put it in any order you want.
Any order you want. And let's all remember that too when we're like the dark web. I'm like, it doesn't even have to be that dark of a web. Right now, Erin, you could bury me. So please don't. But yes, Erin's going to have all my words and she could go to some B-roll. She could do anything with this. She could just go to a full shot of her. She could cut my words together. So I'm not saying I said any of this.
I love it. And a little inside look into reality TV.
Yes.
Never heard anyone.
Yes.
I feel like I think at this point, people know, viewers know that a lot of it is constructed in the edit. You know, a lot of people have come
Yeah.
out after they've been on a reality show and they said that wasn't my experience. It got reframed. They told my story differently.
Yeah.
They focused on something different. That's not the kind of reality stuff that you have focused on. What kinds of shows
No,
have been your bread and butter?
yeah, I think I'm gonna get emotional. I do. So when I'm a showrunner, I'm really in charge of their entire story, meaning
Yeah.
I interview them beforehand. Like I did a show called Meet the Pete's for years with Harley Pete Robinson and her family. I felt responsible for them. I'm like friends with these people. You would start living with them.
Right.
And Holly is just brilliant, I mean, they all are. They've all been on TV forever, So we worked together to make sure that we were telling stories that felt true to them. And when they would see the finished product, they would always call me and say, "Great job. I love that. That felt very authentic to who I am." So that was always my goal. So that's the doc soap side. But people generally come to me because they think I have a sense of humor, which I do. But to me, a good sense of humor is empathy, right? There's no difference between a therapist, a magician, a con man, and a comic. Like we're all doing the same thing. We're reading the room, and what you do with that information that you're able to read, that's are you using it for good or evil? And I used it for good. I wanted to tell stories that make you laugh, that you enjoy, that make you think, that make you feel something. So there's the doc soap stuff. I did this incredible medical series that I never thought I would do in a million years because I can't even look at my arm when I have blood taken out of it. That one was incredible, Erin, because I mean, the title is absolutely, because it was TLC. I love you, TLC. But it was this beautiful, profound series about people who did not have the money to remove either life-threatening or mentally debilitating tumors, like things that you can't unsee, things you can't unsee. And I know why TLC was doing it. It's TLC. So I'm watching the videos of
High
these.
drama. Yeah.
Yeah. And somebody at the company said to me, this really will be the end of my reality career. They said, they come for the freak show and they stay for the heart. So I pretended to write that down because I was so disturbed by it. But I honestly realized in that moment, I have to do this show. I have to protect these people. I need to tell their story and to really it was the most important thing I did in TV. And literally one person didn't know shit was cancerous. Like we always joke in TV, we're not here curing cancer. We cure cancer. I mean, I've done the one and done, I mean, we didn't, but it was
You
just,
did. You personally
I
cured
personally cured cancer. But it is amazing. We were in the OR for all of these things. And by the end, me and my entire crew, we did think like, I could get that tumor out. We're watching the same incision. But that's an example of approaching the material in a way that the network, look, to be fair to them, they also wanted the emotion. And that's why they hired me. They did.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say that out loud. They hired me. Yes, I remember in my interview, I said, "Why are you hiring? There's nothing on my resume." And they said, "We need your ability to tell stories about like humans, like really get in there and for the deep
empathy piece
emotional,
of it.
the empathy." I'm like, so actually, let me circle back and say, good job, TLC. You're welcome.
Well, they hired you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so all those people I'm still friends with. And it was, I mean, we're crying on set. People would come we'd come see them 6 months later. And it's incredible. Honestly, you guys should tune in, find it online. Take My Tumor.
What's it called?
Take My Tumor. I'm so sorry. Like, take my wife. Yeah, no, it's,
Ouch.
I know all my editors were like, what? Like we were all so invested in the show. I'm like, guys, they have a title. And everybody was just so bummed. It's like,
Naming is so important.
I know. But the truth is, every time I recruited somebody for that show, because of course we had no money, every time I recruited people, they did it because I'm like, we're actually going to make a difference for real. Like, I remember we were shooting the scene of a woman from Trinidad, and her story is just remarkable. Charmaine is her name. After she met with the doctor, I mean, they don't have money. They're just total poverty over there. They met with the doctor. We came out. She's crying. Everyone's crying. I go in to hug her. I didn't realize my crew was filming the whole thing. And it was lunchtime. And I'm like, guys, put the camera down. They went like this. And they just kept shooting. I'm getting chills. Like everybody was just crying. It was amazing. And then anyway, my real bread and butter, though, I do food shows. So that's why I was like, well, how am I on a medical show? But I do a lot of competition food shows. Those are the realest things you guys will see. If you wonder, what's the realest thing I can watch? Watch a competition show where there's money. Because also you don't really need to gin up drama, it's baked in. It's baked in. So I've done like
Comedian, ladies and gentlemen.
comedian. Hey, so I've done several seasons of Barbecue Showdown. I did a show called Snack v Chef, which is great. Fast Foodies. It was so funny how I fell into. I basically became a fixer for Netflix, which means they brought me in the post production process, fix a show that wasn't quite working, and I would
Yeah.
bring my lead editor in, Jason Lay. Jason Lay, best in the business, friggin' magician, could take anything and make it into anything. And we became this duo that was fixing all their shows, and it just happened to be a lot of food shows.
So
Yeah.
talk to me about how this work. I mean, obviously it's a changing economy, it's a changing media landscape. Television isn't really television anymore. Everything you can't
Yeah.
figure out where your favorite shows are. Like it's very confusing time. There's lots
Yeah.
of consolidation and layoffs and all kinds of things. So sort of where in that cultural whatever economic moment, where did you find the inclination, the will, the passion to go and do stand-up comedy? And what was that like? What led you there? And what was your first experience doing it?
So shout out to Leslie Wolf, who's an incredible teacher. If you guys are looking to take your first comedy class, Leslie's great because it's not like set up, punch, set up, punch. She's like about really capturing your voice. And her kind of opening premise is always, what would the sitcom of your life look like? So she's really trying to like, who are you? It's stand up, but it's more story driven than just the 1 2 1 2 1 2, you know?
Yeah, and I don't think necessarily listeners to this show know that if you're a person that people have said to you your whole life, oh my God, you're so funny, you should be a comedian. How do you even start? There are classes, there are experts, there are people who will help you shape your
Gladly.
comedic voice and
Yes.
get you up on stage for the first time in front of a microphone. And so that's kind of how it
Yes.
started for you?
Yeah, and the good thing about COVID, said nobody ever, although no, there are some weird silver linings. I love working from home, actually, is that all these classes went online, and so Leslie's class and most of these classes are on Zoom. So seriously, you guys, do it from home. It's amazing. And what's great about Leslie's class is, I think it's the best beginner class because first of all, it's 4 weeks, so you don't have time to overthink it. And at the end of 4 weeks, you get up on the main stage at Flappers and do 5 minutes, which is an absolutely terrifying prospect. And
And Flappers is like a big, legit comedy club
Yeah.
in Burbank here in
Yeah.
LA.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like Jay Leno's favorite club. Like, it is for real.
It's for real. Jumping out of a plane. This. You want to challenge yourself and feel your heart in the back of your head? Do stand up. Everyone should do it. Honestly, even if you're not funny, even if it's not something you want to pursue, it is like the growth is just enormous. It helps to be a little funny. I think what's so magical about Leslie's class, it's so funny. You should just have Leslie on the show. You're just learning how to tell your story. And so that's why nothing feels hacky in the shows. The first showcase shows, she does them like every month, are just kind of magical because everybody is like rebirthing themselves on stage.
That's
And it's
tender. I like that.
it's beautiful, and all your friends and family are there. It's like the warmest bath of love you'll ever get into. Okay, I just threw up in my mouth with that metaphor. I was always good at pitching when I was a screenwriter. I was always good at lunching when I was an executive. Like I knew that I was funny. I've always been funny. I loved going to parties when I was a little kid, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna, hold court here and make all the
I'm
kids
gonna crush with these 6-year-olds.
I'm gonna crush with these 6-year-olds. Oh my God, I gotta write about that. I was like, yes, a new audience. I've been looking for audiences my whole life. So as a showrunner, I just learned very early on, I don't know how much I want to get into this, how to diffuse tension with humor. Anybody else have complicated parental relationships? Yeah, I love
Anybody not have complicated parental relationships?
Well, actually, see, now you got the ADHD too. I think my biggest pride as a parent is my son's not interested in being a performer because I think he feels loved. Okay. So I always loved holding court as a boss because I knew it was funny for folks. Although I always wondered, I mean, they are getting paid to laugh at my jokes. But the truth is they kept coming back to work with me and for me because I just always kept it light. It's just like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here? Also reality TV was like my safety net. It wasn't my passion. So it was like, it was crazy to me that there was like a third leg to this journey. And then that blew up. My safety net, for those who don't know, Hollywood is just on fire, not like LA fires, but that too. So the whole business is shifting. And
Yeah.
I had seen friends over the years do Leslie's class. She used to run it out of the Improv. And I remember watching a couple of friends on stage thinking, I could never do that. That is looks terrifying, but I would love to do that one day. And here's what I'll say to anybody listening. So many years went by and I didn't do it. And I'm
Mm.
trying not to sit in the regret because it is hard starting at the age I'm at, but just do it, man. Like the time just goes so fast. Just do it.
Yeah. Well, what do you think you bring to it, coming to it at this point in your life when you have you've had three careers,
Yep.
you have a grown, how old is your son?
He's 15. We
He's
have
15. So you're
yeah.
great. I have twin 14-year-olds.
Yep.
So, you have a teenage child, you're divorced, you are in a totally different chapter of your life than if you had started, and the story you're telling on stage is such a different story
Yeah.
than what you would have been telling 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago when you were
Yeah.
still funny, but you hadn't found your way to the microphone.
Yes, I've put my regrets to bed because of that. It wasn't supposed to happen till now. I reached a point where I couldn't not do this. I mean, first of all, being older, and I don't know if you can relate to this, and I hate the like zero fucks given, but there is a freedom in not auditioning for your life anymore.
Oh my God. I've never heard that phrase before, but that is really, really powerful. Not auditioning for your life. I always resented the people when I was an actor in my 20s sitting on the other side of the table going, yes, you're good enough. No, you're not good enough. Yes, you meet this mysterious criteria. No, you don't meet this mysterious criteria. Like, I do feel like there is something about being over 40, being in this chapter of our lives. Our estrogen is dropping, which is where that no fucks given thing comes from. Literally, estrogen drop equals you no longer prioritize accommodating others. So that is the thing that is happening inside of us that is leading to this freedom that we feel around people pleasing, around being so other focused, where finally in our lives we can go, actually, like, how do I want to spend my time? What is meaningful to me? And also, you're looking at a time horizon that is quite different than what you were looking at when you were 20.
Yeah.
You're going, oh, fuck mortality.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Like, my mom's 80. She's doing great. I'm 53. Like, that gives me 27 more years
Yeah.
of like, I feel confident that I've got these 27 more years, but that might not be true. And also, because I'm not her, even though sometimes as a, only child of a single mom, I do feel like I am her sometimes. If I'm lucky, I get to be that. What do I want to do now?
Yeah.
What do I want to do with this, like, one and only fucking life we get?
Yeah. My God, I have so many thoughts about that. First of all, I didn't know that is that like scientifically estrogen is linked to people pleasing?
Yes. It's
Wow.
accommodation. So, and it's because of fertility, and it's
Sure.
because of you
Spawning.
have a baby, and then, you need the tribe. You
Yeah.
need to please the tribe so that they will support you so that you survive.
Now I'm rethinking my hormone therapy balance. Should I lower my estrogen? Because I feel like I still have to battle that final boss in the video game known as the gatekeepers at the comedy clubs. Like, what if I just fucking get rid of my estrogen? And I'm like,
Well, isn't that what you're doing by producing your own shows?
good segue, Aaron. Yeah.
I'm a professional.
I know. I love working with another producer. Yes, that is absolutely the producing the own shows is a way to mitigate the reliance upon the authority figure, the parent figure in the room, determining if you're good enough, if you're funny enough. There's oh my God, there's one club owner in town, and now I'm really not going to say names.
Do not,
No, I won't. But she always
because you
says,
probably need her approval. Yeah.
yes, no, I'm only going to mention the people whose approval I don't need now. But she always says, is she ready to all of us? And I'm like, stop. Don't say that. Don't say that.
That was famously a way that women have been kept out of comedy. And this whole, no, it's like a decade ago with Saturday Night Live, where there was a conversation about, well, there's no black women who
Right.
are ready to be on SNL. And it's like, actually, you're completely wrong.
Yeah.
And you're just not looking or talking to the right people. And, then Leslie Jones shows up at 47 years old and
Yeah.
goes, here I am, fully formed, a force of fucking nature.
Yeah.
Am I ready?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
we are
totally.
ready.
Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts about the comedy world because I do come to it as a fully formed adult, as a very former successful, like I was an executive vice president of production. Like it's, I see things through a different lens than a
Of
lot of
course.
my super young friends. So I've kind of become like the mom to all of them, which I love. I'm always basically Norma Rain my way into everything. I'm like, this isn't right. Let's change this. And your listeners will understand that. Thank God.
Good
I have to
Norma
explain
Ray
Norma Ray.
reference.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Norma Ray was the movie 1979.
Okay.
Norma Ray works at a local textile mill where the pay is hardly commensurate with long hours and lousy working conditions, so she unionizes it. I don't know if it was based on a true story.
I'm sure it was. I love it. I mean, so you are the den mother to other comics who are sort of coming up, and I do think, like, I mean, as a person who is starting a new chapter and is now thinking about the next chapter of this chapter, like,
Yeah.
what is it that you think has changed in you compared to your younger self that enables you to be so fucking intrepid? Because stand up is like the ultimate metaphor, right? You're like, there's a room full of
Take up
people ready to
space.
judge you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me about that.
Well, it's so interesting. Back in my 20s, my best friend thought I was hilarious, and yeah, I knew I was fun. I know I'm funny because it's how I survive. If I make you laugh, I feel safe. That's why no therapist has ever worked out for me. As soon as they laugh, I'm like, you're not even seeing me anyway. But my therapist is great. Okay, I digress. He brought a microphone over in my 20s. He's like, we're just going to record you talking, and it was like that Looney Tune, the singing frog. Do you remember that? And I just sat there, and it didn't work. And I think the reason it didn't work, I wasn't even remotely ready. I didn't believe in myself. My God, a girl in her 20s and even in your 30s. And it's interesting because a lot of the younger comics that I'm friends with are like, do you ever get writer's block? I'm like, no. Like, that's just not a thing. My challenge at this point in my life is I have too much material. And it's like I have so much to talk
Floating
about.
with ideas. Yeah.
Exploding with ideas, kind of like sex after you get out of a marriage. It's like the best orgasm you'll ever have. So it's almost like
Yeah.
better.
I've had 3 years of those. Fully on that train.
Wow, you are milking it 3 years. Yeah, I
Well,
guess
fuck
mine
yeah.
lasted a while. Yeah, mine ended. Now I'm like, why do we date? But anyway, yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Just kidding. Dating's great. Come see the Big D. I have this joke that I'm working on where I meet men online and they actually find it really sexy that I do stand up. But it's so funny. They're like, so what got you into stand up? Like there's going to be this hot answer. I'm like, you don't want to, we're not well. Like
Like
this.
childhood trauma. Isn't that
Exactly.
culture for everyone?
Yes, yes. And in fact, my mom was very sick with stage 4 lung cancer and very tricky parent relationship. I'm an only child too, Aaron. I'm starting to see again why we're connecting. Powerful, badass woman, like climbed to the top of this corporation, incredible, but not the most emotionally available human. Anyway, we had a fight. It was like 4 months before she died. And I was, you have to show up and care for somebody who you love, but you have to protect yourself around is such a tricky dance.
So hard. So hard.
So I was doing that like gray rocking thing. I don't know if you know gray rocking.
No.
It's a way to show up with narcissists. So if you don't want to get rid of them in your life, it's a way to be there but not be there. I don't even know if it's healthy, but it's a survival. You're just
I'm going to study this.
yeah. So I gray rocked because I knew I had to and wanted to be there. It was interesting. The way we connected was through conflict, and she kept trying to engage me. And it wasn't until she said, literally, she's on her deathbed. This is like out of a movie, right? Well, it was 4 months, but she was very weak and she was in bed.
In the movie, it's much more
It's
condensed.
much closer, yes.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm just thinking about what I did wrong when you were a child. I'm like, oh my God, this is what every child, like I'm leaning in. This is going to be the big, rosebud, mea culpa. And then she finishes it and says, what did I do wrong to make you make such horrible choices with men? I'm like, oh, okay. She was talking about my last destructive relationship, who's become a little bit of an emotional centerpiece for my shows. And I have a lot of guilt and shame around that relationship. He was not a good human, and I was with him for 2 years, and just so much shame around that. And she knew that, and it hurt so much. And she brought my son into it. Like, it was so bad. And so she got what she wanted. We started fighting. I said, please don't say this. Please don't. So I was furious, sobbing, angry. This is a long story that's going to be impossible to edit. Let's just say I was driving home and I had seen that Leslie Wolf was starting one of her classes again. And every time I'd see one of those classes, I'm like, I'll do it next time. I'll do it next time.
Oh, but you feel it in your body, right? Like when you see something that you know you should be doing that you're not doing, I physically feel it.
Oh, I wrote her, I said, I'm starting the class. It was like starting the next night. I said, this is my goal was I was going to just burn my mom to the ground. I was going to tell the whole world this was going to be it. I would have my final, like Miss Maisel went up and did about her husband, I was going to do to my mom. And so Leslie started the class. It was a Zoom class. And I had that kind of breast-bearing, Miss Maisel moment with the class. And they were all dying. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is amazing. Then I calmed down. And I thought, I tried to back out of it. And Leslie actually called me before the class started, and she's like, look, I just know you need to take this class, and just do it. I won't even charge you, or I'll give you you need this. It was a lifeline. And she was right, man. And the whole time I was taking the class, it was a 4-week class. And I thought to myself, I'm not performing, it was just like, I was telling everybody,
you were going to skip the showcase.
Yeah. I was like, whatever, I'll just get through this. Obviously I'm not performing. Oh, and then a week into the class, my mom went into hospice. And I was like, fuck, now I have to write a new set. So I drove out there.
God, you're seriously a comedian.
Yeah. And I drove out.
That is how comedians think. Everything is framed in terms of their set, their material.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But then this beautiful thing happened, and I'm rolling my eyes because I still have a hard time being vulnerable. I wonder why annihilation is intimacy. That's what I learned at a young age. I realized through that I am more than these stories of me and my mother, and it forced me to write all these other things and to realize how big I am. My identity is not defined by that. Not only did I find myself as a comic, as a human, to take up space that I felt was worthy, I was able to show up for my mom and love her and forgive her and be with her in the last few months, and I am starting to get emotional. And so I have no regrets. And if you do have a tricky parent, if it's your garden variety narcissism, I found it incredibly healing to forgive her and to love her. And it was amazing. So comedy saved me, my God. I would say better than therapy, but I've had years of therapy. I don't think it replaces it. If you've got years and years of therapy, it's a supplement.
I love it. I love it. Take your comedy on top of your therapy, and you will be whole and healed.
Yeah.
I love this. And so is this what you're doing full time these days?
It is full time, not by choice and by choice. So when I started doing comedy, the town ended.
Yeah, LA is in pain. Yeah.
So I was running shows, and I was so addicted to comedy. I was running down to the Improv for the audition mics at 4:30, and I remember having to take calls from my editors. So I was running TV shows and building my comedy career at the same time. So I am doing it full time now because you don't get a pink slip in reality TV or freelance. I haven't worked since last July, and I'm happy. I mean, I'm stressed, but I'm so happy about it. It's like the longest snow day ever. And but the truth is, I am more tired at the end of the day as a full-time stand-up comic than any show I've worked on. And it's more satisfying. I love it. I have never felt more in focus. I have never felt like I am on my purpose path. Like I'm just happy. It's a financial struggle. Everyone needs to know this. Like, comedy is rough.
You don't make money.
No. So it's my full-time job in that there's so many facets to being a comic now with social media.
Yeah.
You can't just be funny. It is so much more than that.
I think what's interesting to me is you found yourself as a comedian. You found your voice. You took this class. Then you started becoming addicted to it. Even going to these auditions during the day at comedy clubs so you could get a spot later at night so you could get booked onto the lineup at these commercial comedy clubs while you were a reality show producer.
Yeah.
At the same time, you're divorced,
Yeah.
you're dating, you're trying to figure out who you are as a adult, single, divorced person, mom, single mom. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of identity shift happening, which I think is really, really common for
Yeah.
women in midlife. There's a lot of reinvention happening. And what I love about your story is that because you're so capable, you're like, you know what? I know how to make a thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my skills, and I have a great, in reality television, in television, we think about this idea of a format where it's like a dating show is a format, and so you built this terrific show that my
Thank
friend
you.
went to see that has a panel of three comedians, and then your kind of co-host comedian who facilitates the whole thing,
Yeah.
and three women and three men. We all get interviewed, and then you set us up on dates, and the comedians do sets in between, and they joke about what we're saying. It's not mean-spirited. It's really warm. It's good vibes. It's like, wouldn't it be nice if you fell in love? No one's having an expectation of that. Let's put
Yeah.
on a great show. Everybody try to connect in an authentic way. You set up this frame that then you populate with incredible comics. And I know you're eventually going to have
Sorry.
Kathy Griffin on your
Yes.
show.
Yes.
That is so exciting. You have comics that a lot of people have heard of and seen on TV and who have gone viral
Yeah.
on social media. I just find it so awesome, the idea that you created this show, you created this format. Let's talk about the show and where it came from and what the experience of making this show, which is people dating after divorce. So it's not Love Island. It's not a dating show like you'd see on TV. It is a dating show that really mirrors like where a lot of us are in midlife.
I just had the funniest image. It's not Love Island. It's like when they've been rescued on Gilligan's Island. It's like years later and everybody is just haggard and limping and starving and confused, but also don't care. And they're on the boat and they've got the things around them. It's a very funny image.
But Mr. Howell still has his very crisp guy outfit on with his captain's cap.
I think he's hooked up with the professor at this point, I
mean,
think
if
there's
up with everybody.
Gilligan's Island is Polly. Oh my God. Oh, I love that. That is okay. Sorry. Now I have to write that down.
Enjoy it. Take it.
Okay.
Keep it. Work it up.
Okay. The big D.
Tell me
Yeah.
about the show.
Okay. So for your listeners, there are a lot of like young dating comedy shows in town. They're ones at the big clubs. Everybody's looking for a gimmick. And so there are a lot of these very roasty, kill Tony, gong showy, like look for the craziest people, get them on stage, or just young hot people out for drinks and whatever. And I never really paid much attention to it. A friend of mine invited me to be on his version of it, and I don't know, something just crystallized for me. Like, there's a version of this that's for real. There's a version of this that's emotional, that's for us older folks. And as a single divorced mom, when I'm on the apps, I always look, do they have kids? I mean, because I tried to date somebody without kids. For me, it didn't work. He's lovely. We're still friends. There's just something I prefer to talk to other parents.
I do too. I fell in love with a guy without kids, and he wanted to know me as a hot mom
Right.
idea, but not as an actual mother.
Yeah.
And that was part of why it ended.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
funny. I'm still friends with that guy. And he said, after our relationship, I decided I'm never going to date somebody with kids again. Not in a mean way. And I said, I decided I'm never going to date somebody without them, because it really is, as a parent, there's no greater love.
Yeah.
And it's not either or, like you can't. So yeah.
I'm talking to this one guy right now, and he's like truly lovely, and he has two kids in college. But whenever his daughter is around, we haven't met yet. We're meeting next week. Please think good thoughts.
Yeah.
Every time his daughter is around, he's completely unavailable because he wants to be there for her, and she's in college and he doesn't get that much time with her. And so it's like, oh, well, she's coming to do this. She's coming. I got to take her here. I got to do that. And part of me is like, pay attention to me. And part of me is like, yes, that's exactly how I am.
And you'd
And
be
that makes
so,
sense.
yes,
And you're
you'd be so
oriented
turned.
in the right way as a human being.
Exactly. You would be turned off. Like when I interview guys on, I mean, this is where you and I are probably very good at online dating, right? Because we're
Very
casting.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, we're good with words, we produce. So I
I'm
can
sweaty
already,
too, so that
that
helps.
helps. I used to be. I used to be. I'm trying to get my inner slut back on. The fires helped when I saw the firemen. But yes,
Woof.
yeah. Woo, yes.
Very inspiring.
I was
Yeah.
going to say beam me up. What does that have to do with firemen? But
Nothing.
hose me down. Ew. So on the dating apps, I usually only swipe right or whatever, say yes to guys with kids who are divorced. It's just a different life experience. I instantly feel we're trying to have a connection. We're trying to feel
Yes.
close to people. It's such a weird process. It's so not normal. It's so not natural. So that just bumps it up a little bit. I've also made the mistake of assuming that we have more in common because of that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. That
Like
makes sense.
my last full relationship, which was incredibly unhealthy, which I mentioned, he had kids and I was in love with him. He was beautiful. I'd never had one of those. I'd never had like a
Oh, you
true
gotta have one of those, at least
it
one of
was
those.
it was great. I had my
Pretty
lead
one.
singer. Yeah, I mean, I just stared at his abs. I didn't even know abs could do that. I've never wanted to touch a man more in my. It was like having the prettiest toy that I've ever had. So it was incredible. I'm getting distracted thinking about him, but it was not good. It was not good for me.
Yeah.
But I was
Not
so
healthy. Yeah.
also I think running. I feel bad for people when they first get out in their divorce. And this is another reason I have the show. Like you can't run from the pain and the loss, and there's just an inevitable period right after the divorce, no matter who left or why. It's going to come for you and it's okay. You just have to get through it.
Yeah.
And I was instantly in two relationships back to back, and I feel like I only fully started healing after this last relationship. But in
Hmm.
this relationship, he had two wonderful boys around my son's age. And I just was like Brady Bunch, Brady Bunch, Brady Bunch, and we
Oof.
blended so quickly. And it was very hard to leave because we had this like we weren't living together, but I was just so buying into this fantasy.
I'm
And
way more compartmentalized than that. I am not Brady Bunch fantasy land person. I am like, keep my private stuff private. My kids don't need to know. They know I go out. They don't ask, and until I'm like fully in love with someone and committed, they don't meet them. Like, there's no way,
yeah,
just
yep,
because they've just been through a fucking divorce.
yeah.
Their life is complicated. They're in eighth grade. I feel so guilty that I got divorced when they
Oh
were
yeah,
going through puberty. Never a good time, but so I just try to mitigate that. I admire people who are more integrated than I am. I am so compartmentalized.
Well, I don't. I mean, it's an interesting concept. I have a joke about it. Of course, everything's a joke to me. That's the only way I get through things. It is a tough needle to thread, and I feel like there's more pressure on women than men to not introduce somebody to the kids. There's definitely like a judgment
Well,
and a
because women are
pressure.
good in general. So,
Well, yeah, but
and they're
also
going to know how to act kind to your kids if you're a guy.
right. But I feel like when a man introduces a woman to their kids, their friends, the women's friends are like, "Oh, that's so sweet. He really likes you." And if you want to introduce a man to your kids, people are like, "Are you sure it feels kind of soon?" There's a double standard there that I think I'm trying to get at. And
I think that's right, but I think
yeah.
it makes sense. Like,
Well, we're more trustworthy, basically. You mean women introducing a woman to the kids.
yes.
But it's still the same rules should apply, in my opinion?
Yes, but here's your next mother, which is my father used to say that to me when we were walking down the street and he'd see someone hot. He'd be like, "There's your next mother," which, I've been in therapy a long time.
Right.
But here's your next mother sounds very different than here's your next father.
I mean, you just hit on the moment that obviously is making you more compartmentalized too. That's horrible, and I'm so sorry that that's
Yeah.
what you were going through. Well, my joke about it is, I think I was about 5 or 6 years out too. So I had fallen in love with this person, deeply in love. And if you ever feel that level of love and oxytocin, like don't trust it. If you're that high on the love juice, I don't think it's good. I really don't. All
Oh
your,
God,
it's,
I want it. I
I know
want it.
it's a drug. It's a
I
drug.
want that drug. I'll do other drugs too, but I want that drug. Like
There,
that. I am
Yes.
chasing that. I'm getting the oxytocin through sex, like through lovers where there isn't the emotional complexity. But that's leaving me feeling like, oh, fuck, I wish this had a love component. Like, I don't hate it and I'll take it in between because I like to have sex. So, like,
Yeah.
that's fine. It's been fine and good. But what is evolving for me is like, okay, I think I need something more integrated now.
Well, that's what happened to me. It was 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I was very compartmentalized. And as you go along, I've been 9 years out of
Yeah.
marriage. So as you progress, you start to have less fear and less shame. There is a lot of shame and guilt put on women who leave their marriages. It's very Handmaid's Tale. It's not agreeing to the rules. It's not, I mean, marriage is an antiquated business arrangement to own women. And we're indoctrinated with this fantasy since we're little, the
It's
pick me
very
ring.
effective.
It's
Yeah.
very effective. I went all in. I was like, a ring? You love me? You want me? You're filling a need that I didn't get as a child, essentially. The dress, the whole thing. You're playing by society's rules. And when you leave that, it's very threatening for a lot of people. So I think post divorce dating for women is even more tricky, I think. So I think part of me was pushing back. So the joke is, you're saying I'm not going to introduce somebody to my kids until I know, and it's just kind of like for an intimacy phobe like me, that's like being on the Titanic submersive. Like until I know, like forever, I will never know that. But also, you have to see them with your kid. That's actually part of the audition process.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet.
No, so it's interesting. So it's like, guess what? We have to get you fitted, Timmy. Timmy, it's always a fantasy. Mommy's getting married tomorrow to Larry. I don't know if you're going to like him, but I'm convinced I like him now. So you're going to meet your new dad tomorrow. So it's like, where is that middle ground?
Sure.
And I learned, well, first of all, I'm trying to forgive myself for this relationship because I don't like the guilt, but I think we have to embrace the mess a little bit. I don't think life is as linear as we want it to be. It's not as
That's right.
safe. And so we have to create a little mess and forgive ourselves for, I don't even want to call them mistakes, experiences that enable us to grow and become better at life and happier.
Amen to that. I mean, I spent my 20s trying to stay safe emotionally and did not date very much. And post divorce, I feel like, fuck it. Like, I want to connect. I want to be in a thing. I want to experience stuff. I want to taste the rainbow. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yes.
just, like, I'm not so scared of mess. My marriage was messy. My divorce was yuck. Like, I mean, we did mediation and we're fucking working through it. But I just feel like I'm so solid now in myself
Yep.
that I don't fear getting beat up emotionally. I don't fear that I won't be able to get over heartache. I don't feel like I need to protect myself from love, you know? And I always felt that way. And that's why I married who I married. And that wasn't great for me, that it was like some kind of safe, familiar choice. I'm a lot braver in every area of my life at this point in my life.
Yes, Aaron, I feel like I'm talking to me. I feel like I'm going back in time and I'm worried that you have what I had, that last relationship in your future. And I just want to say to you, if you feel really addicted to somebody, if you feel like I can't wait to see them, please call me. Please call me when you think you've fallen in love and you're soaring. Anyway, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go there. I think like
Yeah,
the people that I am attracted to now are people that make me feel normal. Like that
yes, yes.
make me feel seen and
Calm.
respected and
Yes,
calm and curious. Yes, of course, I'll have sex with the other guys. Like that's
yes.
fine, but I don't need to be in a relationship with them.
Yeah,
That's how it works for me.
yeah. I don't know if I've ever experienced healthy love. No, I know, actually, I have never experienced healthy love. I know that. So I don't even know what it looks like or feels like. But in this last relationship, when I felt this, okay, my history has always been 4 to 6 months and I'm out of there. Like I'm the
Uh-huh.
leaver, because of intimacy. I even wrote a script about it, sold it. It was called 6 Month Curse because 4 month curse didn't roll off the tongue as much.
Yeah.
But it was about an intimacy phobe who it turns out that her mother, in attempts to protect her from the emotional trauma that she'd gone through from her parents, put like a protective curse around her child. To protect her, it turned out to be a curse, so
Right.
that she would fall out of love with men every 4 to 6 months. So when I met this last person and I felt I wanted him, I never stopped wanting him. It was so freeing, but it wasn't good for me. I think it was a safe love because I never could fully have him.
Yeah, look, we do all kinds of experimenting post-divorce,
Yes,
right? We have
yes,
all kinds of attempts at
yes,
connection, and then
yes,
periods of like swearing off dating or swearing off men or learning new things and new ways to approach things, or like, I'm going to try the apps, fuck the apps. I'm going to learn to flirt in person. For
yes.
me, my favorite place to flirt is Trader Joe's. Those guys are so cute and they're paid to be friendly. So sometimes I go with my daughter, who is 14 but looks 18, and we both just kind of flirt with the guys.
Oh my God. It's
It's
amazing. Yes.
hilarious and
I do
wonderful
that. I
and
like
safe
that. And
and
safe.
safe.
Oh my God. And I have a whole new theory about younger men and older women too. Okay, wait. So I'm trying to give you like a sound bite for the big D though. So when I got divorced, I think I missed my son so much, and it was lonely, right? Because you don't fit into like all the married friends, that life you had who maybe weren't your real friend, like that goes away. And now you're like, who am I? And how do I, what am, and I would hide behind these relationships. I would get into these romantic relationships as a thing to do. As soon as I started comedy, I didn't need to do that anymore.
Right,
This is the
right.
best boyfriend I've ever had because this is me. And ironically, I have this show, The Big D, which is about finding love post divorce, but it's not. It's also just all these things we're talking
It's
about.
fun, yeah.
It's fun, but it's also every time I talk to somebody who wants to be on the show or is interested in being on the show, they'll always say, I just don't even know. It's mostly women will say, I just have to be honest. I'm not even sure I want to date. And if you want to have somebody on who definitely does, I said, that's all of us. We are all like, what is this? I
Right.
don't know what it is anymore. It's very interesting. And I benched myself after this last relationship to really figure out who I am and what I want. And the truth is, and when I meet guys now, I tell a guy I met recently, oh God, it was just funny. I said, look, if I'm not with my son, I'm on stage. Like, I'm very busy. I don't have any free time. And he was like, why are people on these apps then? And I hear this all the time from women. I said, well, you have to earn my time. That's the difference. You have to be time worthy and wax worthy, by the way. I haven't waxed down there in forever. I almost did the other day for a younger man, but she was booked, so he was shit out of luck. He was about to have the ride of his life.
If they really like women, they don't care.
You know what? It's more like I feel sexier. It's almost like a
Sure.
ritual of like I'm preparing myself. And
Understood.
also, Aaron, it's like Amazonian down there. No man should have to handle what's happening down there
Some
right
would be
now.
so happy to. Some would be
Well,
so,
there's probably a thing. There's a kink.
yep, yep. There's a
Yeah.
king for everything. Oh my God,
Yes.
Julie. On the show that I was on, there were 3 women and 3 guys.
Yeah.
The women were amazing. Absolutely. Like, if I was a guy, I'd be like, oh my God, every single one of them, including me. Like, beautiful, accomplished, fun, funny, like soulful. Like, I don't know. The women were amazing.
I agree.
The guys, one was a friend of yours, seemed like a decent guy.
Yeah.
One was a guy who had not ever been married or had kids. And so for me, that's a red flag where it's like, what have you ever committed to? I like to hear that someone has tried a thing wholeheartedly. And then the other guy you met in the alley
Okay,
before
yes.
the show
That was the reality
and
producer in me.
recruited him. And he ended up, of course, being my date on the show. He could not look me in the eye when we were having a conversation. He literally could not make eye contact. I was like, I don't know what's happening here. But I had the most fun. It was so delightful. I absolutely recommend people be on your show, go to your show, bring your friends. I brought a whole group of friends. We had a fantastic time. You don't have to be divorced to enjoy the show, but it definitely helps because you can super relate. And the comics that you booked 3 great comics, and they're all really fantastic and really funny. And it was like, oh, also your show was at 5:30,
That's right. No excuses.
which for women in midlife
Yeah.
is perfection because
Yeah.
we went out for drinks afterwards and then we were in bed by like 11 and
Correct.
that was a perfect night out.
Yep.
So I highly recommend people go and see the Big D, go be on the Big D if you're in LA, go on social media, follow Julie, and we'll put all your stuff in the show notes. It's such a fun and empowering experience that you have sort of taken your life and gone, you know what? I think there's entertainment value here. Let me like blend all of my skills
Yeah.
together and put on an experience that is so fun and empowering for women. And you never know, you might actually find love if you go on the Big D. But even if you don't, like it's a great experience. It was very, very fun. And so my question is, have people found love on your show? Have they gone on dates? Have they
Yeah.
hooked up? Do you have people do a post-mortem? Like,
Yes. So first of all, let me talk about the show that you were on, Erin, because that
yeah.
was a crazy show. Look, full transparency, it is harder to get men to come to the show because it's kind of like they don't want to ask for directions. I think there's a public asking for help and vulnerability that they've been taught not to show. So it's very hard for them. And once they come and they see the show, they see that I'm kind, that everybody's there, and then they want to be on the show and then it's fine. So that show, that was weird. So here's what happened. The show before the show you came on to, we had lots of men there. And I was like, yes, it's happening. It's trending. The men are finally seeing it. And then your show happened and it was like girls' night out. And it's so interesting because I started doing some funny social content and it's really for women and they're very funny videos. And so a lot of women were coming like, I love your videos. And I thought, okay, and now I need to make some content for the men. So I think that's why it started skewing so female.
That makes sense. Sure.
Yeah. But in
Yeah.
terms of the men, here's what I'll say about one of the guys who came on who was not married before. I don't judge men if they've not been married and not had kids because I muscled through to make a life. But I could have been one of them. You know, I could easily be somebody who didn't get married and have kids, but I just decided I was going to do it and that there was something wrong with me and I was going to just make it happen. So I really don't judge those guys. And I talk to them quite a bit before they come on the show. So I'm only putting good humans on the stage.
Yeah.
Now, I was down a guy because he had pneumonia and I got desperate and I'm a reality TV producer. So I was out in the alley and I saw somebody because I could not do the math of how I was going
He
to
was
figure
not
it out.
homeless. He was not unattractive. He was
No,
a
he was, yes.
total normal-ish guy.
Yes, but he was not looking you in the eye. I was just on pins and needles hoping he wasn't going to say something crazy like Heil Hitler. Because again, I usually vet people before they get up there. So what I'm saying is I want women to know my goal is to have single men in the audience and on stage.
Yeah.
And usually it's more balanced because before the show starts, there's a half-hour mingle. And afterwards, there's a little bit of a mingle. So to answer your question, yes, in previous shows, it's really funny. There's a beeline at the end where people start giving each other phone numbers and it's adorable. And people have met and gone out on dates from the show.
I love
don't-
it. But not
it's-
necessarily the people who were on stage.
It's not, no. And this is what I always tell people. Like, I'm trying to put people on stage together that kind of look like they make sense so you guys can have a nice conversation and connect and some real human truth will come out. But mostly what I tell the guys is, look, you're on stage and the women. It's usually people in the audience watching you on stage find something charming about you. And also, I now have all of you in my head. I'm constantly setting people up that I meet out in the world with people I had on the show. So I'm like a walking database. I really want to disrupt the whole online dating thing too, because I just want to get back to like, hey, I have somebody that you might like, you know?
I love it. I love it that you're organically matchmaking on the back of this format. I love it so much. This is such a great conversation. So rich and full of insights. And, you know, Hotter Than Ever is really about giving women permission and ideas for how to do things differently in the second half of our lives. So what do you want our listeners who may be navigating dating after divorce, what do you want them to take away from this conversation?
You are not fully defined by the person you are with. And once you start to realize that dating on the back half of life isn't about needing somebody, but wanting somebody, I think it sets us all up for healthier choices and a happier life. You've got that whole concept of like, you can't find somebody till you're happy yourself. That's way too much pressure. But if you can find contentment in your life without that person, you will make better choices. I'm not compromising anymore because I have never been happier than I am doing comedy. So it's really given me the space to find somebody who's additive, like who's bringing something to the table. Because I have a king size bed and I like to know that it's empty. I sleep on the edge. So I don't even know if I do want somebody permanently in that bed the rest of my life. I don't know because I don't need somebody right now. I am very content. But I did make out with somebody recently and that was really fun. So I guess I do need something.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean, it's a choose your own adventure
Yeah.
chapter, right? Like the rules are off. We followed all the rules. We did all the things.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, what do I really want? What feels
Yes.
good today? You know?
Yes. Yes.
Julie, thank you so much. This is awesome. We may need to do a part 2.
Aaron, I love you. I'm so glad. This is the best part of the Big D is that I become friends with people whom I meet doing the show.
100%. That's the best thing about doing this podcast as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. So good to know you.
You too.
Thanks for listening to Hotter Than Ever. I hope you enjoyed this conversation about divorce and career reinvention and comedy and so much more with Julie Golden. Is there someone in your life who could use a laugh, or who loves reality TV and wants to know what goes on behind the scenes, or who's recently turning to dating after divorce and needs to hear this conversation? Share it with them, please. You're holding your podcast device. It is very easy to share. Just pop it over to your bestie who really, really would love Julie's point of view. Hotter Than Ever is produced by Erica Gerard and Podkit Productions. Our associate producer is Melody Carey. Music is by Chris Keating with vocals by Isa Fernandez. My ex-husband called me recently and he told me that he had been recruited by a reality show called The Later Daters. Have you seen this show on Netflix? I have. It's pretty good if you're into that kind of thing. He was excited about it. I asked if he wanted my advice. And because I am a good person, I told him to tell them that he is not interested. Because most reality producers will take the worst of you and turn the volume up on that part of your personality in order to milk as much drama out of the show as possible. You think Teresa Guidice or whatever her name is on Real Housewives of New Jersey throws a table every day? No, I think she probably was provoked into that. I know my references are old. I quit the reality TV habit. It wasn't making me feel very good. Anyway, he may be my ex, but I would never wish that on anyone.